Good
Wow.
morning, sir.
Sir Ruel, ako
Good
lang
morning, sir.
record, sir, ha?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Morning, sir.
Okay, good morning. Okay, so this will be our first meeting, considering that my schedule last week, bunaog, na ako'y naka-schedule. So hopefully that the preceding next week or meetings every Saturday, but also the training conduct or organized by Biban Power Corporation. So I was a resource speaker. So that is a 3 days that will be effective to the Saturday. But anyway, so regardless of the schedule, so I'm still able to provide or the discussion for the subjects. So I hope that I can share a lot of the topics about instrumentation and controls, which is also my subjects right now in my school in USGR. Okay, so I will share it also for that one. So sharing the screen. So I cannot share my screen. So how could I present my topics?
Wait, sir, ha?
Okay, please. Are all of you here are electrical technology or?
Sigawat man.
Yes, sir. Puro na sila electrical.
Hindi ba? Pinambe.
Mura mag-night feedback, sir.
Yeah. Mute lang na to. Sir, Sir Ruel, palihog kong unmute, sir. Sa imong mic, sir. Sir Ruel, palihog kong unmute, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Makita na, sir, imong presentation.
Kita na. Okay, so the topic is about, or the subject is about instrumentation and control. So I'll ask our participants are electrical, electronics, technology.
Electrical, sir.
Electrical, no, most of the electrical, okay. Now, partly this instrumentation control are offered for both electrical and electronics, but for us in our program, most of it are professional subjects, considered as professional subjects as a major subjects. But other program, this is the allied subjects. So mas in our part, in the program of BSEE, so this is more on the professional part of the professional subject. No? Okay, to start with the course description, so what do you expect for the entire semester for these subjects? Okay, so the course, now sometimes you call this course or very common is a subject, but in CHED, these are called course. No? Then kung atong kurso like BSEE, BSME, ECE, those are the program. So here for the course description, the course deals with the study on control and testing. No, electromechanical, analog, and digital measuring and testing instruments for resistive, inductive, or capacitive measurements. Partly, calibrations, graphic, and waveform analyzing instruments. Those are detectors for the measurement of process variables, analysis of performance, characteristics of control systems, electronics, magnetic, hydraulic, and mechanical control. It includes also the principal controls and test measurements involving sensors, pneumatic controls, actuators, thermal detectors and thermocouples, thermistors, transducers, and PID controllers. Now, if you consider the entire course, very too wide, no? Wide kayang scope in terms of for one semester. But some of these topics will be discussed also in other course offered in BSEE. So in your case, where the instrumentation control, depending on how many units that you enroll this, it will be also aligned in BSEE program. Okay, so objectives. First, to describe the types and rules of different measuring and testing instruments, which is already most of these are applied in most of the industries, the measuring and testing instruments. Then to be familiar also with the different new trends in measuring and testing technologies. Thoroughly understand and apply the principles of measuring and testing in the different fields of electrical engineering. So, in general, these are the coverage or outline for the course. Starts with a process and instrumentation diagram, open and closed loop systems. So this is more on the control systems. The PNID. PNID stands for the proportional integration and differential controls. Level and fluid flow measurements, mechanical and electrical pressure elements, pressure systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, thermocouples, transducers, programming, PLC programming, thyristors, auxiliary systems. In auxiliary systems, we will be talking about the IFDAS, the fire alarm and detection system, no? Then some electrical test equipment. So that cover this course, instrumentation and control. Aba man? Na may nagpuan. So can we unmute those participants, no? Okay, more na may background music. Okay, that's good. Okay, so these are the suggested references, although I have some could be shared to you. So most likely this most of my presentations are covered from this textbook or references.
Sir, nakamute ka, sir.
Di madawa ka tingog, sir.
Sir, nakamute ka. Sorry. We have to unmute everyone mo good. Kay Kuan. Paliw ko, sir, sa mute, sir. Sir Ruel, naka-mute ka, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Have to share the screen again, no? Okay, so again, so we have this textbook, no, or references. So I will share also some of my references, some ebooks for you to have a guide or references also, no, later. Okay, so this will be our first topic about process instrumentations. So what do you mean by process instrumentations in general? So when we have instrumentation, root word would be an instrument, but an instrumentation in the process. So if you look at this entire pictures here, coordinated among themselves, no? Some units, devices, instruments are integrated to perform such things, no? But how we can identify these terms or these things, these instruments? Okay, so by terms, instrument, simply a device that will transform from a physical to a suitable recording, no? Or from physical variable of interest, which is the measurand, into a form that is suitable for recording, which is the measurement. So we cannot identify something or to have a data not unless we put some devices. If you want to measure the force, the pressure, the temperature, the voltage, or the current, unless we put something or a device to measure of, no? So an instrument is a device that transforms. So try to look at this one for
Nawala si sir.
putol akong connection.
Nawa, sir.
Okay. Balik ta dire. Okay, so going back to this slides, no, about the instrumentation. So try to look at the simple instrumentation model, no. So we have this measurand where the physical process to be determined. So we need to have this physical measurement variable. Of course, there is a sensor in order to produce a signal variable. Then the signal variable produced by the sensor, then it will be displayed. Okay, regardless what is the display, then be sure before to have this measurement. No, this is the process of this instrumentation model. A measurand or a physical process. What are these physical process? That will be also discussed later, no? Then also the display. So before the measuring devices to measure something in order to be to perform or to what will be the reference measurement. So when we say measurand, it is represented by an observable physical variable. Okay, so this one, no? Physical variable. So what are these variables or physical variables? So the observable variable need not necessarily be the measurand, but simply related to the measurand in some known way. Okay, so this is the physical process. Then this sensor to produce signal variables is a sensor is the key functional element and converts this physical measurement variable input into a signal variable output. So that is how it perform its task in the sensor, no, to convert this physical measurement variable input into signal. Then these signal variables have the property that they can be manipulated in a transmission system such as an electrical or mechanical circuit. Okay, for the signal variables. So these are the common physical variables like force, length, temperature, acceleration, velocity, pressure, frequency, capacity, resistance, and others. Okay, so that is for the physical variables, common physical variables. Then typical signal variables are voltage, displacement, current, force, pressure, light, frequency. So notice that in these physical and signal variables, there are something common, no? Like pressure, frequency, force. Okay, so that is possible. So these are the variables that we need to measure. Likewise, convert that into take an action for the output. So in a basic instrument, the signal is transmitted to a display or recording device where the measurement can be read by a human observer, like voltage or current. No? So it will display, or even at temperature, it will display in the or recording device. Whatever is it, so those are the measuring devices or an instrument. So the signal can also be used directly by larger systems. Input signal of a closed loop control system. So I'm talking earlier about this control system. So that's another form of mathematical processes. So where it needs also this concept of instrumentation, just like in design electric.
Naka-mute ka, sir.
So you have to we have to buy this condition no say mawa ta kadali, either ako'y mawa or kamoy mawa, so you have to proceed, no. Okay, so this one. So next here, a simple measuring device unit, we call this temperature measurement. No, these are the common temperature measurement using thermocouple, the RTD, the thermistor, and IC sensor. Okay, so I think some of you, or hope that you are familiar about these terms, know how this temperature measurement perform. Okay, so like the thermocouple, where you notice that there is a graph for voltage and temperature. So meaning the temperature of the thermocouple is the reference in order to produce voltage. Okay, so the same thing, the RTD, the resistance temperature detector. So that vary between the resistance increases as the temperature increases. Okay, so the same thing also. Now, what are the importance of these common temperature measurements, or the advantages between each other? So when you see thermocouple, it is a self-powered. It's a simple, rugged, inexpensive, wide variety of physical forms, wide temperature range. So that is the advantage of this thermocouple. Whereas the RTD, most stable, accurate, and more linear than thermocouple. And that is also its advantage compared to thermocouple. Whereas the thermistor, it's a high output, fast 2-wire ohms measurement advantage also for this thermistor compared to others. Then for the sensor, most linear, highest output, inexpensive. Okay, so depending on the application where this type of measurement or temperature measurement will be used. But as long as that we know the advantage of this common temperature measurement, then it's a matter of how we select. Likewise, of course, you have to consider the cost. No, either it is expensive or inexpensive compared to each other. So you have to consider also this as a factors. No, the cost, then the application where we can apply this, which more effective among this type of temperature measurements. And of course, they have also disadvantages for these 4 common temperature measurement. For thermocouple, nonlinear, low voltage, reference required, less stable, less sensitive. Okay, so you have to balance also the advantage and disadvantages for each temperature measurement. For the RTD, expensive, slow, current source required, small resistance change, 4-wire measurement. For the thermistor, nonlinear, limited temperature range, fragile, current source required, self-heating. Then for the sensor, the temperature is less than 250 degrees Celsius. The power supply is required. Slow, self-heating, limited configurations. So as I said earlier, each temperature measurement has advantages and disadvantages, but for us, or for me personally, I do some designing where I can consider some factors to consider, like the cost and the effectivity and the applications of these temperature measurements. Because in my design, some projects, well, some of it will be considered this sensors, not to be put up in the room or in the process. But of course, no, you have to defend also those selections of temperature measurements to the clients, no, nga makonsider po nila nga that is good even the cost is high. But in terms of operational, in terms of effectivity and application, then that is good for the client, no, for the particular project. Okay. Now let us start with discussing about a thermocouple between two units, two metals, no, two different metals. So let us have this metal A, metal C, and metal B. For these two metals, E, B, different types of metals, and where the metal C and B are joined together here, likewise, the other two metals, metal A and B, are coupled at this point. Then a temperature is being heated, this joint or junctions. So we call this effect as a Seebeck effect, where this is a simple thermoelectric circuits. Okay. So combining this for the metal A and B, so what happened to metal C after we convert that in terms of a simple circuit diagram? Okay. So where a terminal, where a current or a direction of flow for this, where we can say that a metal A could be joined at this terminal or this point. Metal B also coupled with the metal A. Then as this junction is heated by a certain temperature, then the terminal of the two metals will be produce a voltage. We call that as a Seebeck voltage. Okay, considering a metal A and metal B will be coupled here, so there will be a voltage. How much? That's still to determine. No, that will determine also the amount of heat where this junction is being heated, and likewise the type of two metals A and B. Okay, considering that there are a lot of metallic elements, so it's also a matter of choices of these metals. So that's why in the engineering, we have also a course or a subject of engineering materials where we can studying about these different characteristics of different metals to be used in the field or in the different programs. So considering the two metals being heated, it will produce a voltage across these terminals. Then the two terminals now will be connected to a junction or to the terminal block or whatever, no? For this time, the considering the metal A is set as a copper, then the metal B considered as constantant. Okay, so there are reaction between the two, and the two end terminals of these two metals are connected to this terminal block, or we call that as junction 3. The other terminal called as junction 2. And the two terminals will be wired in a copper. So we have been this plus and minus terminals. And this type of junctions, we call that as type P. Or that type P referred to copper constantant thermocouple. Okay, so that's how the thermocouple operational or the process by heating this terminal here by using init temperatures, no, or a certain temperature to be heated across this junction. Okay, so now what happened to this junction 2 and 3, if you are going to convert that in terms of diagram or circuit diagram, we have this B3 or B2, B3 as part of the junction here. After combining two terminals, or the terminals here, copper, copper. Okay, but considering that there is a junction, we can consider that as a terminal voltage across this junction between the same metals. The other junction 2, between two different metals again, no? The copper and the constantan. Okay, so since the two terminals, the terminal 3 or junction 3, the same wire, the same metals, so we can have that as one wire or a copper wire. So where the voltage now will be eliminated, considering they're the same element or the same metals. But in junction 2, considering that different metals, copper and constantan, so there will be a voltage across, across that junction due to different metals. So muna na siya plus and minus terminals for at junction 2. So this is more on the application of the intermediate metal, law of intermediate metals. Now, if this junction 2 is placed on the ice bath, where the external reference junction, where we can put this an ice, particularly at this junction 2, where a copper and constantan are coupled or joined, then the terminal junction 2, when we put this in the ice bath, where there is a common reference temperature at 0 degrees. Okay, so this time, the voltage here, the voltmeter reading across this terminal will be the difference between V1 and V2. No, if you apply a simple Kirchhoff's current law or Kirchhoff's voltage law, positive minus to positive, positive V minus V1 plus V2. But if you simplify, that will give us V1 minus V2 for the V, the voltmeter reading across this terminal. Okay, so the effect of additional junction on V2 can be removed if the cold junction G2 is kept at a convenient known temperature, that is the 0 degrees temperature. So the 0 degree centigrade is commonly used, for example, by the U.S. National Bureau of Standards as fundamental reference point for the thermocouple tables. So natay tables for the thermocouples, so to determine what particular reference junction. For another unit, this time we call this type G. Ganiha for copper and constantan is a type T. So for this combination of iron and constantan is what we call type G thermocouple. Okay, so the same as what we did earlier in the copper constantan thermocouple, where there's a terminal here, So for iron connected to junction 3, the constantan connected to junction 4. Okay, so then the combination or the joint or the junction are connected to a copper wire. Okay, a copper conductor to the terminals where it will be measurable voltage across here. Then the junction 1, where the iron and constantan are connected or joined, will be heated here. So where there is what we call as block temperature, which is the temperature reference or reference temperature, with junction has no ice bath, just like earlier, gibutangan og ice bath. So what happened to the junction, it become a reference temperature. But with this block temperature, we will be considered that as a reference temperature. So junction voltages in G3, G4 form with copper in between iron and constantan. Have no effect on measurements if G3 and G4 are at the same temperature, or we say reference temperature. Okay. Now try to look at also these pictures. I think you're familiar. It is a PLC. by Siemens. This is the PLC 7-1200. Now you're familiar about this. So there are wires, no? So take note that there are terminals also where the wire is terminated or connected. Yes, of course, no, the wires that we are using are all copper wires. But terminals like this, there are some metals being used in order to produce something, in order to perform. So where some other terminals like what we encountered earlier about the thermocouples of two different metals, then when heated, so it will produce, where some of the concept of terminals in the PLC are doing that, no? Are performing like a thermocouple. Okay, so there are some metals inserted in these terminals to perform like a thermocouple. Okay, so this one, no, the one that I presented earlier, the pictures. So this is a simple connection diagrams for the DC powered type, where there is an RTD, termed as the resistance temperature device, no, or RTD, part of the temperature sensor, no, or temperature measurements. So that is inside of this PLC. There are 2-wire RTD, 3-wire RTD, 4 wires, no. So naagi pamutang diha, and there are also sensors inserted within the component of the PLC. Okay, so this is a basic connection diagram of terminals here, no? Okay, so this is the process concept of the PLC, the CPU. Okay, there's a analog and digital converter, no? Then other functions here. So that's only for a presentation for about basic the G110 of PLC of Siemens. Okay, so for the analog variant, this one, so to be familiar about with. Then the E7200 and MicroMaster 440 integrations. No, so this is the MicroMaster 440 and E7-1200 200. So this, the connectivity, no, the input and output, the IOs. Then for the Synamics G110, then the temperature transmitter. So we're a composition of no, for this PLC. So this is internally connected, no? Then for the analog variant, for the Synamics G110, the E7-200, then the temperature transmitters. So the system, set the system up so that the PLC is the command source and the temperature transmitter, the frequency set point source of the inverter. Showing the wiring between control devices and parameter configuration, where type K thermocouple will be used on the transmitter. So type P, what is this type P? So I presented earlier about the type P and G. So what is this type K thermocouple? So going back to the type G thermocouple, the ion constantan, where the voltage reading here will be V1 minus V2, no, minus V2 will give us the voltage across the terminal here. Okay, so these types of metal, no, to produce temperature or the graph between the temperature and millivolts. For chromewell versus constantan, ion versus constantan, chromewell versus alumel, or this type. So muna yung gitawag na to og different metals. So combining these metals, we're identifying metals as a positive component and negative component metals, combining it to form these thermocouples. So where I mentioned earlier about the type K thermocouple, it is acromel versus alumil. No, so this one, okay, sa iyang graph. But the highest reaction for the in terms of millivolts is this type E, the acromel versus constantan. No, as the temperature increases, the millivolts the millivolts of this thermocouple also increases. So with this particular type of metals, no. So for the type G, you have this one, iron and constantan thermocouple, no, using a type G. So it still depends on the type of metals being used and also in the applications. So thermocouple application notes, considering when the metal at point B is heated, where temperature inserted here, so not affected by temperature, the voltage not affected in wiring between input and output ends. But if the temperature T3 is high enough to melt the insulation of the conductor, so it matters, no? It becomes a bare wire. Kung init na ang iyahang or malanay na or masunog ang iyahang insulation of this wire. Okay? But a certain temperature that cannot melt the insulation of the conductor does not affect to the terminals here unless you are increasing the temperature of the combination or the joint between the two different metals can increase the temperature, the voltage across here. So if the thermocouple is measuring temperature in a furnace, an instrument that shows the reading is some distance away, the wiring between two wires or two metals could pass near another furnace and not be affected by its temperature unless it becomes hot enough to melt the wire or permanently change its electrothermal behavior. Okay, that does not affect on the outputs of this B1, no, of these terminals, even that this part is being heated at certain temperature. So at the same time, also we have these different temperatures, also not affected by junction composition, no? So we have this F, G, D, and E of different metals. So as the temperature T1 is kept constant, no, at this portion throughout the junction, and the junction material is electrically conductive, junction can be formed by soldering or welding. No, junction can be formed by soldering or welding. So in this case, if the temperature at this point is held constant, then the output here, no, it will remain. No, considering that you have different metals here, so the temperature between the F and G metals is held constant. So masilain pa siya na siya, no? Ang iyang the produce will be based on these two metals. So another composition, no? Another modification of this thermocouple applications for a metal A, B, then you have to put in between the metal C, where the metal C at this part is being heated. But the joint, the soldering or welding at this terminal between metal A and B. So still the output is not affected by insertion of non-thermocouple alloy, such as this metallic C, no, in either or both ends, both leads, provided that the temperature at the ends of the spurious metal is the same, no. So it does not affect on the output of this metal A and B. So these are the thermocouple types. Type T, the copper and constantan. So you have to be familiar also the wires, the color. So for copper wire, that should be blue. The negative wire should be red. Okay. So the temperature ranging from negative 300 to 700 degrees Fahrenheit for the type T thermocouple. For the type G thermocouple, where the positive wire is the iron metal, that should be white, and constantan will be red. Now take note that all the negative wires of different metals are colored red. So that will be a standard for these thermocouple applications. Okay, then also for this type G, temperature ranging from 32 to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can also convert this into degree centigrade, no, by using the conversion factor from degree Fahrenheit to degree centigrade. I think you know the conversion factor for this temperature conversion, no, from degree centigrade to Fahrenheit, then from degree Fahrenheit to degree centigrade. So you must know also that conversion. Then for type A thermocouple, that is a chromel for a positive wire colored violet, then constantan in red. Now ranging from 32 degrees Fahrenheit to 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit. So for the type K, a chromel for yellow, then alumel red for the negative wire, ranging from 32 to 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Then for the type S, type B, and so on and so forth, no? For this particular metals, where the positive wire is a different colors with respect to the negative wire, no? The negative wire is always in red, so that you can be directly familiar about the negative or identifying the negative positive terminal for these different types of thermocouples. And this is a standard applications, no? And likewise, in selecting this type of thermocouple, you have to consider the different ranges of temperature where this thermocouple is applied. So if you need only a less temperature, so no need to choose the type B thermocouple. So particularly, you can take only the type T or even type G. So as I said, depending on the applications. So these are the primary sources of thermocouple measurement errors, no? Poor junction connections, no? The junction between two metals, no? The point nga i-welding na to or i-soldered. But now, if you are purchasing or buying these thermocouples, it is already well welded or well soldered. But kung kato lang maghimo-himo, so that will be possible to have a poor kanang errors in reading of thermocouple measurements. Then the recalibration of thermocouple wire also possible. Shunt impedance and galvanic action, thermal shunting, noise and leakage currents, thermocouple specification, and some documentations, no? So these are the common or sources of thermocouple errors or measurement errors. By the way, you have any question? But take note, if you have questions, you may interrupt the discussion so that I can stop, then can answer your questions if you have some clarification or questions about the presentations. Anyway, I will give these handouts or materials will be shared to you, no, for you to have reading in advance. Considering if you cannot if I cannot present it all this time or in a meeting, so I will be sharing these presentations to the group, or I will request for this group to have a group chat, no, so that I can upload all those materials, all resources to share it with you, no. Munang I will request anybody or any one of you or of this group to have a group chat para I can put all those materials in the group chat or makashare po ko sa inyo, ha. Okay. So this is like the poor junction connections, no, for the soldering a thermocouple between here, no. So soldering between these two metals, the iron and the constantan. So where the junction define that the iron for this, no, mura og kulang siya pagkuan, pagsulda, no. So this is the one possible source of thermocouple measurement errors. Then for the decalibration, the alteration in the physical makeup of the wire so that it no longer conforms to the NIST polynomial or NIST polynomial within specified limits. So during the decalibration of the unit, so there are changes, no, where the wires will be replaced, the wires will be changed in other types of wire. So the result could be non-conformance of the specified limits. So that will be possible for the during the decalibration, the alteration, the physical makeup of the wire. So the decalibration can result from diffusion of the atmospheric particles into the metal due to temperature extremes, high temperature annealing, or by cold working the metal. So that will be possible of the decalibration as the source of error of thermocouple measurements. Okay, so we have this metal in the bath at 500 degrees centigrade. So this portion could be 200, 300, 400, 500 degrees centigrade. So according to Robert Muffat, in this gradient approach to thermocouple thermometry, explains that the thermocouple voltage is actually generated by the section of wire that contains a temperature gradient and not necessarily by the junction. Okay, so temperature gradients, not the junction itself. So for this example, if we have a thermal probe located in a molten metal bath, there will be the two regions that are virtually isothermal and one that has a large gradient. So technically, the difference of the temperature where the two metals being placed, no, at this level, for different levels where the different temperatures will be recorded also. So that matters also, that the gradient of placement of this metal in a bath produces voltage difference, no? So the gradient produces voltage also. So if due to aging or annealing, the output of this thermocouple was found to be drifting, replacing only the thermocouple junction would not be solved the problem. So we have to replace the entire shaded section since it is the source of the thermocouple voltage, no, for this junction here. So kinahanglan siya i-replace just in case nga din agad na there are a lot of errors due to this aging or annealing. So could be a leakage resistance where there's an opening here. So this is the joint between the two different metals, but there's an opening here. So that could be considered as a leakage resistance. No? Then we have also this what we call as virtual junction between these shunt resistances connected in this process, where the two terminals are wired or combined here or soldered or welded at this junction. At high temperatures can also take their toll on thermocouple wire insulators. Insulation resistance decreases exponentially with increasing temperature, even to the point that it creates a virtual junction. So now you have a tendency that there is a leakage resistance. So in an open thermocouple operating at high temperature, the leakage resistance be sufficiently low to complete the circuit path and give an improper reading. No? Then if the thermocouple wire is small, its series resistance can be high, and under extreme conditions that RL is lesser than the series resistance. So the thermocouple junction will appear to be at RL. and the output will be proportional to T1, not the T2. So meaning, ang iyang ma-reflect, assuming only this temperature here, T1, not the T2, which is the source of the induced voltage or voltage produced by the thermocouple, which will be the basis of the temperature at this junction T2. So ang iyang matanaw, kanira ang T1, which is lesser compared to this temperature at this junction T2. Okay. Now, take note also that in property of metals, where some metals when heated, it will expand or some will bend. Okay? So this is very common to the metals. If you try to consider during the fire, no, na fire, where some metals in the house, sobra gini kainit, so you notice nga ang straight, ang uban, mubawog na ganina tungos kainit, no? So we have this copper and iron, expansions toward in that direction. Some of it will be bending. So the length of expansion, no, the coefficient of linear expansions given in this formula, L equal to the L sub O. L sub O refer to the initial length or the original length times the quantity of 1 plus alpha times the change in temperature. Alpha is the coefficient of linear expansions. I hope it would be discussed in your P6, where this topic is more on P6, no, engineering P6 or college P6. Where alpha, the coefficient of linear expansions determined of different metals. For copper and iron, so there is a corresponding coefficient of linear expansion for copper and iron. Where the delta T, simply the change in temperature from the final temperature minus the initial temperature. Where the length L, that is the length of material after heating. No, the temperature or the length of the material after heating. L sub O, that is the original length. So here we have some values for common metals like aluminum, copper, iron, tin, titanium. No? So this expressed in terms of degree centigrade. For the aluminum, it is 25 times 10 to the power negative 6 per degree centigrade. Copper, iron, tin, and titanium. Now, if you look at the formula, whatever the length of the original length here will correspond to the length of the material after heating, where alpha is expressed in degree centigrade or per degree centigrade, where the change in temperature is also expressed in degree centigrade. So that means the centigrade units of this change in temperature and per degree centigrade the units of coefficient of linear expansion will cancel out, resulting one has no unit, resulting the unit or any units of original length of the metals will be the corresponding length of the metals after heating. Okay, the centigrade here will cancel out. So that is the how we compute. So we will see to it that the units, that the temperature will be expressed in appropriate units, should be expressed in degree centigrade, because sometimes the temperature are expressed in degree Kelvin or degree Fahrenheit. So all you have to do before using this formula, convert the units in terms of degree centigrade. Such a way, you can use the formula so that it will be canceled out between the alpha, the coefficient of linear expansion, and the change in temperature once the unit is converted into degree centigrade. So unless the temperature given is expressed in centigrade, so you can immediately use this formula right away. No? So automatic that the length after heating will be equal to the unit defined in original length of the metals. Okay? Okay, so we have this formula. The amount of expansion or contraction, no? So it could be an expansion or contraction are almost too small to see since the values of alpha are quite small. So practically di kita kakita nga naa ba siya ni extend or ni increase ba ang length, but for a certain part of the metal after heating, in order to identify nga there's a change in length, so of course we have to measure before and after. Before the metal being heated and after the metal heated. Okay? So the differential growth between two metals will result in a bending motion that greatly exceeds the linear expansions if the two strips are bounded together. So just like these two metals not bind or attach each other, the expansion is simply in a linear expansion. But likewise, if the metal is extended or coupled or bind together, so their expansion would be more on bending, not expanding individually, but the two will bend together, no? That's how the concept of these linear expansions of these two metals, no? The bimetallic element, no? Or the bimetallic temperature sensors. That is common principles used in these temperature sensors. More on metals, no? The characteristic of these two different metals. Then for the thermistors and resistance, no, or we call that as temperature detectors, no, about the thermistors or RTD, no. So a thermistors or simply an RTD is connected across the ohmmeter, no, in order to measure the resistance. So these thermistors are devices made of metal oxide which either increase in resistance with increasing temperature, a positive temperature coefficient, or decrease in resistance with increasing temperature, which a negative temperature coefficient. So there's a tendency, no, that when the resistance or when the metals increasing the temperature, so ang iyang resistance mo increase, musaka, no? So there are common metals operate like that, no? When the resistance increases, the temperature increases, manigitawag na to positive temperature coefficient. But as the resistance decreases, even the temperature increases, so manigitawag na to negative temperature coefficient. So the RTDs are devices also made of pure metal, usually platinum or copper, which always increase in resistance with increasing temperature. Then the major difference between thermistors and RTDs is linearity. Thermistors are highly sensitive and non-linear, whereas the RTDs are relatively insensitive but very linear. Okay, so that's the difference between the thermistors and RTD. So the temperature resistance is equivalent to this formula given as the reference resistance times the quantity of 1 plus alpha times the temperature minus the reference temperature. Okay, so R sub T is the resistance of the RTD at a given temperature T expressed in ohms. Then the reference resistance at reference temperature also in ohms. So alpha is the temperature coefficient of resistance, so that is expressed in ohms per ohm degree. No? Ohms per ohm degree, or ohms per ohm per degree, or it could be ohms degree per ohms. No? So I have to verify also this one, no, for the unit. So where this is also constant depending on the types of metal being used. Okay, so this is the temperature coefficient of resistance. Okay, so recall this formula. So let us have this simple examples for the RTD So the following sample shows how to use this formula to calculate the resistance of a 100 ohms platinum RTD with a temperature coefficient value of 0.00392 at a temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. Computations. Okay, so using the formula, the resistance is equal to the initial resistance of the reference resistance at 100 ohms. That is given, that is the resistance or value of the resistance of this platinum RTD. Plus 1 plus the coefficient of resistance given at 0.00392 times 35 degrees, at a temperature of 35 degrees, minus which the reference of 0 degrees. So from there, we have R sub T equal to 100, 1 times the quantity of 1 plus. So simplifying 35 times 0.00392, 0.1372. So from here, that will give us the total resistance of 113.72 ohms. So what does it mean? So if you have a 100 ohms RTD or platinum RTD, so it can perform up to 113.72 ohms for this 35 degrees Celsius. At this 35 degrees Celsius. The higher the temperature, the higher the resistance also for this RTD. So makakuha siya as the temperature increases. So you can compute also if, let's say, the temperature is at 50 degrees. So you can say that the temperature resistance or the resistance of this RTD at that 50 degrees also increase from 113 to something. 35 is 113.72. So at 50 degrees centigrade or Celsius, so higher than this, the temperature of the platinum RTD. A simple computation using the formula. So due to the non-linearities in the RTDs, this linear RTD formula is only an approximation. It's only approximation due to the non-linearities of these platinum RTDs. Okay, so these are a common temperature coefficients of different metals: nickel, tungsten, silver, gold, platinum, copper. So if you look at the units, ohm per ohm degree centigrade, or we can say that the coefficient of resistance or the temperature coefficient of resistance of some metals would be expressed in terms of per degree Celsius, because the ohmic value here will be cancelled out. So makancel man siya. So therefore, the common units of this temperature coefficient of any metals would be expressed in per degree Celsius. Okay, so for the nickel, tungsten, silver, gold, platinum, and copper. So likewise, for the resistivity of the different metals, for gold, silver, copper, platinum, tungsten, nickel, in circular millfoot, that is ohm per circular millfoot. So you have 13, 8.8, 9.26, 59, 30, and 36. So the unit for this resistivity of these different metals expressed in ohm per circular millfoot. Circular millfoot. Okay, so you have this between the reference resistance of this thermistor of 50k ohms having lines equal to 1 ohm. The resistance of the conductor is given at 1 ohm each. then the records or the reading of the ohmmeter will be 50,002 ohms. Compared to the RTD as a reference resistance of 100 ohms, having the same resistance of the conductor for each line at 1 ohms, it has only a resistance of 102 ohms. Okay, so you can see the difference between the thermistors and the RTD. So the relative effect of 2 ohms, total wire resistance on the thermistor circuit and on the RTD circuit. Kung ari ka sa thermistors, this 2 ohms doesn't affect, okay, because of the high resistance reference of the thermistor. Compared to the RTD, has only a small resistance of 100 ohms, where the 2 ohms of the conductor is also identified or will be affected, no? Kay 102 versus this 50,002, no? So on this 1 ohm or 2 ohm resistance of the conductor doesn't affect much on the thermistor, but it will affect on the RTD because of this small resistance reference. Okay. Then we have these 3-wire RTD circuits. Now, thermistors and resistance. That's the concept of temperature detectors. No? Having a wire resistance of 1 ohm each. We're having this RTD reference of 100 ohms. Okay, where voltmeter reading is defined here. Likewise, a current source defined in this part of the circuit. Okay, this is a common 3-wire RTD circuits. So the voltage reading, the voltage of the RTD will be defined as a difference between the voltmeter A and the voltmeter B. Now, for this instance, to get the readings of this RTD, so the voltage across here, or let's say between these terminals where there's a current source. But if you are measuring the voltage across here, so using these terminals here, using this path, where you can see 2-wire resistances, 1 ohm and 1 ohm is covered, from here, from this terminal, you have that voltmeter reading, voltmeter reading for this, and you have also voltmeter reading on that. Okay, so the voltage across the RTD is simply defined as the reading in this voltmeter A and minus the voltmeter reading on B. So that will determine the voltage output of this RTD using the 3-wire circuit. Then for the 4-wire RTD circuit, so this time you are connecting this one, then there's a current source applied, then there's a voltmeter here across, measuring these terminals. That terminal and that terminal, you're also measuring this voltmeter, using this voltmeter, So the problem inherent to both thermistors and RTDs is self-heating, the self-heating. In order to measure the resistance of either device, we must pass an electric current through it. That's why they have this current source, that is symbolized as the current source. So the result, or this result in the generation of heat at the resistance according to Joule's law, which is equal to I squared R. The power is equal to I squared R. The square of the current passing on that times the resistance, so that will determine the power or the heat produced on these RTDs. Okay, so I think the pressure measurement will be discussed in the next meeting or the preceding meeting, considering that for this particular slide, so I have 116 slides. So far we were at 55 slides. So mas slide unya ta ani, so mag-nosebleed unya ta. So we'll stop here for a while. So at 116, so we're done at 55 slides. So we will stop on this slide because I'll be discussing more on pressure measurement by next meeting. Okay, so questions now will be open for anybody can volunteer to ask questions.
Sir, excuse me, sir. About sa katong decalibration, sir ba? Naman to NIST, sir. Unsa to stand sa NIST, sir?
More on standard to sa US. So I cannot get the exact meaning, but this is more. These are more on the standard in the US. Common items or values are taken from the standard. Anyway, I will get that by next meeting, or I will be putting it in the chat, in the group chat, if I can get that meaning, that NIST.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. What else? Do you have any other questions? Yes, of course. Now I will share these materials. So I will give these slides, this part 1, considering that taas ni siya o coverage. So I'll be sharing this to you so that you have a reference. Now, likewise, if ever you have some comments on the presentation, on the slides, so do not hesitate to give me a feedback for it, no, para so that I can correct those mistakes or those corrections that you can find it, no. Then sharing these materials for you or to the group so that in advance, identifying those errors you found it in the preceding slides, or even in the previous slides that we encounter nga naamoy mga pangutana, so you can write it down. So if ever you have something to ask for in the previous slides or in the for the previous slides, the one that we presented karon, you may take note that of that terms, then you can send it to the group chat so that the moment that we come back by next week or even during the period or the whole week, pwede na ko naman sharean through the group chat, no, not waiting for the next meeting. So pwede na ninyo i-email or pwede na ninyo ibutang sa group chat, or even yes, I will create also a Google Classroom for us para all materials that I have to be shared it with you. So adto na ko i-upload sa Google Classroom, no? So much better kung naatay group chat for the class so that I can do some communication through the group chat. Then all your questions pwede na ninyo i-send dito sa Google Classroom. Mag-create lang unya ko para ana. Pero I will ask any one of you to create a group chat for the group for the subject. Yeah. Okay, so klaro ba?
Copy, sir. Copy.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so kamo niya kung i-assign na kung mo whole group chat ninyo, then please tag me or i-appeal sa go para at least maka-communicate po ko ninyo.
Sir. Sige, sir. Sige, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that's it, no? That's it for this meeting. So
Salamat, sir.
yeah, so muna no, I will share this kung ako lang natin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Ini nga material, Sir Benji will share it to you also. So wang makahimo na mo og group chat. So adto na nako na po. Of course, no, I'll be sharing also this to
About sa group chat, sir ba? Unsay pamaagi nimo, sir? I-hold na mo ang kaning 147 ka participants or by section lang nimo?
pwede ra gutanan. Pwede ra ba? By section, by section, pwede ra no, it's okay to have no, kanang by section lang. Pila maka section kada student per section. I don't know.
Section lang, sir.
Plus.
So make it ko na lang by section, identified it by section na lang. Then every section, so in
Well, si Sir Chavez, sir.
yes.
Na si Dr. Charlie, sir. Mamusta raw siguro.
Ay. Yes, pre, kumusta? Roland?
Wala, sir. Ganihan ni out na niya. Klase po doon.
Good. Yeah, kaya ko po, tapos ko yung laptop po ron, tapos gawas mga 10 or 11 kay nasa ko yung meeting sa IIE Cebu chapter. So we have our webinar karong hapon, mga 1 to 5. Pero the joining only up to 2 because I have also a class up to 5 sa akong itiyak. Distance learning po ni sila. Oh. Sa madala nga, total, naraman sa balay po. Pero I'll be out sa balay. Ha? Magawas po ko mga 11:30, makakataon karon na tao no before 12 kay napo meeting sa IIE sa Cebu chapter. So nami schedule ron nga 1 to 5 nga webinar as part of PPD ba ugkuan. But ganda-ganda po din no. 140 plus.
Naghanoy napagiuban na wala kasud kay nagtrabaho.
Ba? Ugkuan.
Okay.
So ang background nila ba mostly at third year, fourth year.
Sagol na second year, na third year.
Ngano man sa ilang curriculum pareha sila o man.
Naman tay kuan god katong ato ang first batch sa senior high school ba nga naguna.
So,